Hello, welcome back to the SCW Wrestling Podcast, right here on Facebook.com and YouTube.com. I'm joined today by another fantastic guest from Edition Pro Wrestling, none other than Notorious, one of the greatest people, probably even LEP. I do kind of hate this person, but he does kind of scare me. None other than Mr. Johnny Sicko. How are you this morning, Mr. Sicko?
I'd be doing a lot better if I wasn't up this early, but hello, good morning, all that.
Okay, I'm sorry, obviously, we've woke you at such an early time of the morning. I really appreciate you sort of taking the time to come on. I was wondering if we could ask you a few questions, if that's okay.
Yeah, shoot, far away.
Brilliant. Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Were you sort of a wrestling fan growing up at all?
Yeah, you don't do this just straight out the gate. Like, you don't just say, I'm going to do wrestling one day. Like, you got to be a fan of it at some point. I was a fan when I was about 6 years old. My mum was seeing this guy who he had Sky, so like my mum never had it, so like he had Sky, so like I'd go over to his on the weekends with her, and basically like his one of his friends used to come over too, and we'd be sat there watching WWF. One of my earliest wrestling memories was Ultimate Warrior when he threw up the green slime with Papa Shango.
Oh yeah, God, that is
So after that, I was like, what's this? What kind of show is this? So my interest peaked from there. So
brilliant.
It's done pretty well for me, obviously.
Yeah, no, certainly. I was going to say, that's definitely a nostalgic period in WWF. That must have been WWF around 92, 93, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I believe it must have been around 93. Must have been.
Yeah, no, awesome. I was going to say, was there any other sort of favourite memories you had of wrestling growing up?
I remember, like, after that, like after watching like the WWF, like the cartoon era, if you want to call it that. I remember I didn't watch wrestling for a while, and then I moved house, and basically like I made some new friends at a new school. One of my friends said like, "Oh, come over to my house. Like, yeah, I'm watching wrestling." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So I ended up watching Nitro with him.
Oh, okay.
And I'd never heard of WCW before, like, so I was a little bit apprehensive of the product, but like I ended up really liking it. I actually missed the entirety of the Attitude Era because I was watching Nitro.
Fair play. I think, certainly at one point, WCW was probably the best wrestling product on TV, so you probably got a lot better action, particularly the early WWF in around 96, 97. It wasn't particularly great, with particular gimmicks that weren't particularly great, but no, WCW is a good place to sort of start watching wrestling, particularly if you've been out of the business a while as well. If I could just ask, sort of, what led you sort of wanting to get involved as being a wrestler and stuff like
that? It basically stemmed from, when you're watching wrestling, at some point you're going to do something from wrestling on one of your friends. So basically, the guy that I used to watch Nitro with, we ended up just wrestling with each other quite regularly and for quite a long time too. Like we were wrestling with each other for like 10 years, and it brought in other people too. So it was just all backyard stuff, just jumping around, just messing about. It was all a good laugh. I think if I could go back, I probably wouldn't do it because my knees are screwed because of it.
Oh no.
There was no ring. There was nothing nice to land on. So in terms of memories, in terms of fun, it was great. But in terms of long-term health, no, it was terrible.
Yeah, no, I'm very sorry to hear that. I was going to say, who are some of your favourite wrestlers, sort of, when you sort of got back into it or growing up? Did you have any particular type of favourite wrestlers?
So I didn't have Sky at my house, so I couldn't watch WWF, I couldn't watch Nitro or anything like that. So a friend of mine, he was like, I know a tape trader, and tape traders were very big business back in that time. So one of my first tapes I ever got given was the Big Japan Deathmatch Bibles, and a couple of ECW tapes as well. So for me, growing up, none of my favorite wrestlers were actually from WWF or WCW. They were all from ECW or from Big Japan. So from Big Japan, you had guys like Jun Kasai. He's still wrestling now. The guy terrifies me. He's legit the only guy in wrestling that terrifies me. And the late Hayabusa, who paralyzed himself a few years back. passed away, I think, 2 years ago now, something like that. From ECW, though, Steve Corino. Steve Corino always stood out for me. Like, his feud with Dusty Rhodes was absolutely amazing. I love the Dudleys when they were feuding with the Eliminators, which was Cronus and Perry Saturn. Who else is there?
I think you've named some really fantastic.
There's quite a few. There's quite a few.
Definitely, I think I definitely memories of Hayabusa. What a fantastic wrestler! It's just really tragic, obviously, what happened to him, and also some of the other wrestlers you named have also been sort of very iconic as well. Did you ever get into sort of the frontier martial arts wrestling, sort of the deathmatch type stuff with Atisha Yuta and like sort of Cactus Jack, the King of Deathmatch, stuff like that?
Cactus Jack, I'm not sure if Cactus Jack actually wrestled for FMW. I know he wrestled for IWA when they did the King of the Deathmatch Night 5. The FMW, I definitely watched some. I didn't watch a lot of it. It was very hard to get hold of. But I remember seeing the how was it called? Really ridiculously long match title. It's octagon exploding time bomb cage thing. It was like a big octagon cage that went around the side of the ring. It was like a tag match. Hayabusa was in that with obviously like 3 other guys. And if no one's ever seen a time bomb match before, it literally is what it says on the tin. Like, the cage will explode after, I think it exploded after like 15 minutes, and it was the biggest explosion I've ever seen. Hollywood has not even topped that explosion. Wow. It's that big. Yes. It's crazy. Yeah. And they carried on wrestling after it went off, and I was just like, these guys are awesome. What's going on?
It's just so iconic. I think it's so different, particularly not in the mainstream. The amount of stuff they can sort of get away with. I think that's really it sounds like an iconic match. I'd definitely like to see that match. I'm going to just say, so how did you first discover the LEP Academy as well?
So basically, I know Danny Walsh from my early days, messing around and stuff. Because of how long I was wrestling with the guys down in Plymouth, that's where I'm from. I was wrestling with them, just doing our mess around stuff, and we were doing it for like 10 years. And I basically grew quite stale of wrestling the same people all the time, even though it was only just backyard and it was only a little bit of fun. I branched out, so I looked online to try and find out if there's anyone like us around, and I found Dan. So I got in contact with him. We ended up meeting up a few times, ended up having, a good relationship together, in terms of our ideas for wrestling. And we kind of both just went from there. So, I know Dan from that. Once he started, branching himself out after doing his training for professional wrestling and opened up the school. I was like, okay, I'm going to pop in. So I pop in pretty much every week. Sometimes I don't even train. I just go in and just see how everyone's doing. Sometimes I, give my own personal opinion on how something looks or how something feels, or maybe you can do it like this. So I'm always, passing on knowledge, whether it's needed or not.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to say, what is your thoughts of the Southwest wrestling scene in general? What do you think? This is sort of we're in a really good place at the moment with a lot of promotions, or do you think things are going to get better, or has it been better before? What is your general view on the Southwest wrestling scene?
Okay, so the Southwest wrestling scene is really good. It's really good, but there's a lot of promotions which kind of dilute it down a little bit. So sometimes it makes things not so special. So you've got some promotions that run literally half hour between each other, and it just makes it a bit silly. It dilutes everything down, and no one really takes into consideration that guy's got a show on in a week. Maybe if I do mine, if we stagger them, then everyone makes money. But no one's like that. And the thing with the Southwest wrestling as well is, you look at the guys that got announced for the WWE UK tournament, and they're all Northern guys. Every single one of them. And you look at how many times someone from down the Southwest has tried getting booked up the line in somewhere I don't know, IPW, say IPW or Progress or something. No one wants to really take anyone from down here because having to pay for expenses like travel costs are an absolute pain. Like it's a lot of money to get anywhere from down here. So we focus mainly on what we got going on down here. But there are guys that are screaming to be used up the line, and just no one's going to use it because of their expenses.
I think it's a real great shame. As you said, really sort of in the Southwest, we've had a couple of people that have gone and made it, but then they've obviously come back. People such as Joel Redmond, Oliver Gray. He obviously went to NXT. He made it to a certain degree. And then we've had people try out for TNA British Boot Camp, which is Impact Wrestling obviously now. It's just unfortunate, as you said, nobody's really got that chance in the UK tournament or even the ITV special earlier in the year to try and sort of get themselves out there, which is a real shame because you've got some fantastic wrestlers in the Southwest. I think we're ever improving. I think the promotions that are running deliver good quality entertainment, and I think you get a real good feel of, particularly limited edition pro wrestling, you've got a real good feel of people coming through. It's a real good place for wrestlers to start and progress. I think I don't know if you think, obviously you've got some fantastic talented wrestlers. If I may ask you, who would you say is sort of probably your top three, but you can include yourself if you want, wrestlers currently in the Southwest in your opinion?
Put
Put you on the spot.
Yeah, you really have to put me on the spot.
Have to. You can come back to later. You don't have to answer. It's
No, it's okay. Okay, so I'm going to go with Omo Tiger for definite, because like he wrestles for pride, but he has some of the greatest work ethic that I've ever seen. Like the guy is full of ideas. He will do whatever is asked of him. He's so respectful. Like he's literally the cookie cutter for what a professional wrestler for this era should be. Tyler Hawk used to wrestle for LEP. Used to wrestle for PWA as well, but mainly wrestles for Pride now. Like he's an amazing talent. Absolutely amazing talent. Like ran a training school for a bit himself in Plymouth. I'm not sure what's going on with that at the moment, but like, yeah, he's an amazing talent too. And Danny Walsh. Dan's always been there for me, so like I've got a lot of respect and time for him. He's shown me a lot. Like he's shown me that there's things now that I can learn that I didn't think that I could learn. Like there's things that I was like, oh, I'll never be able to do that. And here I am doing exactly what he's been showing. So, yeah, I think so. Ultimo Tiger, Tyler Hawk, Danny Walsh.
Thank you for that. I'm going to say we're going to go back on to sort of you as a wrestler then, Johnny. So, can I ask, did you find when you first started and up to now the business came easy to you?
No, definitely not. I am by far the least athletic person in the world. But like with wrestling, I found that you didn't necessarily need to be the most athletic person in the world. You didn't need to be the guy that could pick up people and throw them halfway across the ring. I found that strategy was the best part to go for. So I'm a big fan of strategy. I'm a big fan of making plans of how to take people down and how to go forward with that. So it was all very difficult trying to learn strategy whilst everyone else is learning how to throw a guy out of the ring or how to drop someone on their head or how to put this hold on. So yeah, like it was a very difficult time for me, like as starting out, like very.
Yeah, no, definitely. What I would say, I think one of your biggest strengths, just as a fan observing, looking in, I think particularly you're probably one of the strongest sort of promos on the mic in terms of getting a reaction from the crowd, if that makes sense. I think you clearly excel at speaking to the mic. Have you always been confident, sort of making people stand up and sort of take notice? Is that sort of something something you've always been good at?
No, that's something that you learn as time goes on. When I started out, I would take an hour a day just looking in the mirror and just cutting promos on whatever was around me. Like I cut promos on the razor that I wouldn't use to shave my face, like just stuff like that. Like so it's quite important for me to be able to use your voice in wrestling. Obviously, because it's pretty much the reason why I'm still around. It's pretty much the reason why I'm still getting used. It's not because of my wrestling. My wrestling's not that great. It's because of like who I am and like how I can get my voice across with the points that I want to get across in the ring. So promo work is so important, and guys like Paul Heyman and Mick Foley will tell you the exact same thing, because Mick was never a athletic guy. Like, he was never the wrestler that looked like other wrestlers. Like, he wasn't the big surfer looking dude or anything like that. Like, he got by on the fact that he was a menacing looking guy who could talk for hours about anything and make you interested. So yeah, like promo work to me means everything.
Awesome. I was going to say, we're going to get back sort of talking about a bit about LEP and yourself in LEP. So, as a singles wrestler, you're known as being one of the most twisted and violent wrestlers in New Edition Pro Wrestling. What sort of made you like this?
Okay, so I realized that the people that wrestle me always have the same kind of mindset, that they want to go somewhere and they want to be someone. They want to go on to do WWE or TNA or GFW, as it's called now, or they believe that they have a future. And for some reason, they look down on me and think that I'm the stepping stone for that future. I'm just here to remind them that future can be taken away very, very easily.
That's brutal and honest. What I was going to say, what do you think is the biggest misconception LEP and its fans have with regards to Johnny Sicko?
I get a lot of you can't wrestle chants, which makes me laugh, because a lot of the time it's always the same people, and they've paid their money to come and see me. Like, I've not paid my money to come and see them. So they can say that I can't wrestle, but they're there to watch a wrestling show. And there I am in the wrestling ring, and I'm wrestling. So I think one of the biggest misconceptions is that apparently I can't wrestle.
Certainly, I've seen you sort of put your body on the line to try and get wins and try and sort of progress and do stuff. Clearly, I think you are one of the most dangerous men within New Edition Pro Wrestling. I think that's pretty obvious. Clearly, on the podcast reviews we've done with General Manager John Joe Obrey, it's pretty clear that you generally will put your body on the line to try and get the win or literally injure the other wrestlers. Certain people are saying sort of that you're willing to take these risks that no one else is about to. Is there any reason why you feel you have to take these risks? What's the sort of affection from pain come from? What's causing that basically? Is it just the anger of the crowd?
Sometimes it's not about winning, and sometimes it's not about losing. Sometimes it's about making a memory or getting in someone's head, in other words. Okay. If I can use my body in any way, shape or form to get in someone's head, to be able to use that at a later date, then of course I'm going to play human chess. I don't care. I haven't got much left in me. I don't care. Why would I just take the easy way and just roll around and be like, okay, I'm not gonna go flying off there. I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna do that. No, I'm not gonna do anything like that. I'll do whatever I see fit. Most of the time now, it seems like snapping fingers has become quite a hobby of mine.
Yeah, I think you can say that's pretty clear. As the legend of Johnny Sicko grows within LEP, does your obsession with causing sort of chaos and just pain and misery grow day by day?
It's not really causing pain and misery. It's causing happiness for myself. It's making myself feel good about me. And if that just so happens to be that I'm causing pain and misery to other people, as you so call it, then I'm going to have a whale of a time. I don't care about the rundown of the show. I'm going to come out and I'm going to say my thing. I'm going to do my thing whenever I want to. It doesn't matter who's around at the time. It doesn't matter if it's Dan. I might have respect for the guy. Doesn't mean that I respect his show. It might be John Joe Obery. He's literally just been announced as a general manager. I'm not going to respect a guy who's just been announced as that. That's like getting a new boss. Nobody likes the new boss. Might be Dead Man's Hand. I do not care. Okay, next question.
Okay, so speaking, you sort of hit the nail with the hammer then. So what is your impression with what's going on within LEP and the new general manager of LEP, John Joe Obery? What are your thoughts and how do you think that affects Johnny Sicko day to day going forward?
Oh, it affects me quite a lot, apparently, because, okay, so the tag team tournament. So the tag team tournament started, and it was me and it was Dynamite David Fury. And we started pretty hot. We started very well. Got a win straight out the gate. Now, John Joe Obery, this is before he was announced as general manager. John Joe Obery announced us as the winners of the match. But he didn't say that we had advanced in the tag tournament. He didn't say anything like that. He neglected to let people know that's what had happened. So I have a big problem there that he does not announce such success. So later on, we find that so John Joe becomes the general manager. All of a sudden, the tag team tournament gets cancelled out of the blue and replaced with a tag team match, which I'm not in, but it says a lot that he wouldn't announce that we had gone on to the next round of the tag team tournament and then just not put us in that tag team title match. That says a lot. That says a lot about the kind of general manager that we have now. So, do I respect him? No. I don't respect him for anything. So I think there's a bit of a conspiracy going on right now.
Okay, I'm sorry you think that. I think we're going to have to get the elephant out of the room now as well. Obviously, they've got the LEP World Heavyweight Title Tournament as well. Unfortunately, you're not in that as well. What do you think the reasons are for your exclusion from having the chance to become sort of an LEP World Heavyweight Champion?
Okay, so I've watched this video that John Joe posted up saying, oh, these are the 8 people that's going to be in the tournament. I'm watching it. I'm waiting for my name to be read out. No name comes up. My name is not mentioned once. John Joe's logic for the people that was chosen was because those people had not had opportunities. They had not had opportunities for any kind of title whatsoever. Now, I've had opportunities for titles in the past. Have I held a title? Kind of. I was PWA British champion for 525 days, never once touched that belt. That belt meant nothing. So where is my opportunity? Does Shane Palmer need an opportunity? Boy's still a trainee. Does he need an opportunity? He doesn't need anything right now. The person who should have got an opportunity is me. I gave a perfect example as to why Shane Palmer should not be in the tournament. And that's because I beat the crap out of him at the last show in Windmill. So here we are. I'm not in a tag title match, and I'm not in the heavyweight title tournament either. So you explain to me why I should be a big fan of John Joe.
It's very hard, obviously. I can see why you feel sort of left out, but where do you go from here then? Is this sort of are you going to be even more cunning and callous than you are already, or are you have you got a point to prove now even more? Where do you move next to, Johnny?
Okay, so the next show, right? The next show is Great Pikes in Paignton.
August 13th.
Sunday. This Sunday. I'm not booked. I'm not on the show. So where am I supposed to go? What am I supposed to do? I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn up to Great Pikes Community Centre this Sunday. I'm going to voice my opinion. I'm going to pick up that microphone. No one's going to be able to stop me from saying what I want to say. Because no one has stopped me. And no one will. Because deep down inside, it goes back to exactly what I said earlier on about getting into the guy's head, playing human chess. Okay. Everyone at some stage feels inferior.
Okay, I think fair comment. I'm interested certainly to see what you say. Hopefully it'll be nice and friendly. I don't think that. I think that may be slight wishful thinking on my part. But no, certainly. I'm also going to speak about the $1 million question as well now. So clearly LEP are under this invasion from Dead Man's Hand, or whatever you want to call them, so to speak. How do you think that sort of affects you? And what have you made of sort of how callous they've been so far and the recent threats they've made to LEP?
So I've been in groups in the past. I've been in quite a few groups. I've led groups of guys. And to me, at the moment, it's great that they're trying to get their name across. It's great that they're trying to show that they're a big threat. But at the moment, they haven't really overstepped the bounds. Not yet. Not yet. They will when they come across me, but they haven't yet. I think Dead Man's Hand, I've worn masks in the past. I've always been able to show my face. And I think it's a bit of a coward's way out of basically hiding behind a mask and trying to be mysterious and trying to play on that kind of card. Like that's not imaginative to me. It's not anything that's a real threat. I've seen guys in masks. I've wrestled guys in masks. A mask does not scare anyone. It's what's behind the mask that scares people.
Fair comment.
I think they haven't got what it takes to actually scare me.
Okay, fair comment. I must sort of challenge you on that. So clearly at the Super Show, where you tagged with Hebe, International Superstar Hebe, against Vinny Clay and Jago, before Jago did that infamous turn on Vinny Clay, when Dead Man's Hand came out, you sort of bolted it. You took one look of them and the Master of Shadows and just said, I don't want anything to do with that. Is that the case? Is that correct? Or is that just a case of this is their business? You didn't really see your part of getting involved, really?
So while I said that they don't scare me, because they don't. I'm not stupid as well. I'm not going to take on, how many guys came out? What, 6, 7?
There's a lot. There's definitely a lot.
Basically. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So whilst I'm not scared of them, doesn't mean that I'm not going to just walk away from that. 6, 7 guys, you really think I can take 6, 7 guys? Tell me a guy in LEP, tell me a guy in Southwest Wrestling that can take on 6, 7 guys all at once. You won't, and you can't. Because every single one of them will do the same. And walk away. Except for Vinny. Vinny seems to be bashing his head against the brick wall, thinking that he can do some right and he can make a change. No. Can't do it on his own.
Perfect. I was going to say...
Trying.
Yeah, no, sorry. What I was going to say as well is, do you believe sort of this, what John Joe Aubrey, general manager, is saying, that he's going to unite LEP to rid Dead Man's Hand? Do you think he can do that? Or do you think this is a fantasy and he's living on sort of another planet, so to speak?
I definitely think he's living on another planet, because I'm not involved in Dead Man's Hand, but I am definitely not involved with John Joe Aubrey. Because, right, here's the thing. Here's my conspiracy. John Joe Aubrey is a part of the firm. Okay?
Okay.
Why else would Vinny Clay be put in the heavyweight tournament and also in the tag team title match? Why does he get 2 opportunities? Why not one or the other?
He's coming off a very big win against Jago, and he has single-handedly tried to rid LEP of Dead Man's Hand. I think that's obviously clearly... I think that could be used, sort of, so to speak, to why he's in these positions. But as I said, I think it's unfortunate you're not in the tournament. What I would say, one last thing I'm going to say on Dead Man's Hand, what have you made of sort of the way that they're being led and the instructions? Clearly using sort of social media, audio messages, and sort of ominous threats to LEP. Well, what have you made of that? Do you think this is a very dark way to go down, or do you think this is a way sort of this is a way sort of that'll get found out soon.
I'm very surprised that no one's used the technology to uncode and take away the voice filter that's being used on the Dead Man's Hand videos. I'm really surprised that no one's done that. You know what? I might do that. I could probably figure it out in about half hour because I've heard everyone's voice. I've been around. Might not just be someone in LEP. It might be someone around just anywhere, from anywhere. Doesn't necessarily have to be anyone from Southwest Wrestling. If you figure that out, if you take the time to decode the videos that they put out, you'll find out who it is. Easy.
Are you sort of scared of the threats, though, that's sort of been made to LEP and the whole of the roster, including yourself now, that sort of Dead Man's Hand are only getting started, they're going to get worse?
I'm not scared of them. I've already made this point. I would take my time to make sure that I know exactly what's going on first. So the threats that they make, I guess we'll have to see if they actually come to fruition. I don't think they will. I think that some of the guys will take a strong standpoint on it. I won't. I'll sit in the shadows for a bit. I'll do my thing because that's what I want to do. I'm gonna take my time, and whilst everyone's fighting over Dead Man's Hand and LEP's honor, I'm gonna make my way to the top, and I'll see everyone there.
Okay, sounds like a cunning plan. I was going to say, let's go on to a more positive subject now. So, what are some of your favourite memories in the business since you've been in it?
Okay, some of my favorite memories are some of the matches that I've had. So there's a wrestler from Spain. His name's Hardflyer. He's one of the best wrestlers I've ever wrestled in my life. He's so much fun to work with. He can do everything that you can. He's legitimately a human highlight reel, and I love working him, really. Otherwise, so there's matches that I've done in the past. I've been involved in matches with Raven, been involved in matches with Sabu, Rhino. I once told Ted DiBiase to go and bring me the $1 million belt. That didn't go very well.
No.
No, he kicked my ass.
Oh, God. Okay.
I once told Chris Masters. Chris Masters was over. He had a knee injury, though. I told him to stop skipping leg day. And, yeah, he put me in the master lock, so that was fun.
Oh, God.
A lot of people say that my mouth gets me into a lot of trouble, but I think my mouth has pretty much got me where I am now. So we're all good. Otherwise, there's so much more that I've done. Like I've wrestled Rockstar Spud. I've shared the locker room with some of the wrestlers that I grew up watching, such as like Raven, Rhino, Tommy Dreamer. I wrestled Tommy Dreamer. Talk about that for a minute there. Meeting Tajiri was one of the most amazing moments of my life because he's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so there's been a lot. There's been so much that I've done, and I guess passing on knowledge as well to the people that will listen. Passing on knowledge is one of my favorite things.
Awesome. I was going to say, when you're sort of working with people such as Raven, Tommy Dream, and stuff like that, do you find that you're always learning a lot? Is that something that's quite easy to learn from people like that? Is it sort of easy for you to get that knowledge and then use it in your crafts going forward?
Oh, definitely. I think who was it? The one that really taught me quite a bit was Ted DiBiase. Ted basically broke down with me how to cut effective promos. So I was like, okay, this is something that I can get behind. So I had a very long and very in-depth chat with him about that. And there's not really anyone else that you can ask that kind of thing, because realistically, like, who else has been over that can cut effective promos? Raven, like, yeah, but I didn't really have a lot of time to talk with Raven. Like, I was, so it was kind of like a fleeting thing, like, hey man, like, nice to see you, that kind of thing, Tommy Dreamer, like, Tommy's a great worker, but he's not an amazing promo guy. Like, he's not one of the standout guys. So Ted DiBiase was the one that taught me quite a bit.
Awesome.
Taught me a lot.
That must have been a really fascinating insight, just to pick the mind of Ted DiBiase, clearly one of the biggest stars in WWF in sort of the 80s and 90s. Clearly, this guy was so charismatic. He was obviously what Vince McMahon modelled himself on, but no, just to pick his mind. I bet that was a fascinating sort of insight you got there.
Definitely.
That's awesome,
Absolutely.
man. I was going to say, before we sort of wrap up this interview this morning then, was there anything else you want to sort of say or announce?
Just the fact that this Sunday at the Great Parks Community Centre in Paignton, if people thought that I was mean and nasty before, you haven't seen me mean and nasty when I haven't necessarily been given what I want. So if you want to turn up there, I'm sure you'll see a lot of chaos. You might see a few chairs thrown. You might see a few people get kicked in the face. You might see a few fingers get snapped. Find out who when you come to the show. Great Parks Community Centre, Sunday.
Awesome. I was going to say, there's also a show on August 27th at the Wimble Centre for LEP as well, so please make sure you come to both shows. But I really appreciate you sort of coming on this morning, Joe, and basically sharing your insight into wrestling. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate you coming on.
That's cool, man.
Thank you for your time. Thank you all for listening. This has been the SCW Wrestling Podcast. On behalf of Magician Pro Wrestling, I've been George Jones.